It began like a fairy tale, two beloved stars, dazzling under the same spotlight. Names whispered together like a perfect melody. Park Eun-bin and Rowoon, both radiant and reserved, had agreed to join hands in a project that fans immediately called a match made in heaven. The cameras caught their first smiles, their synchronized laughter, the way they looked at each other during press interviews. And so, a fantasy was born. No one knew how little sleep they were getting, or how much effort it took to stay perfect for the world. They were the golden couple, beautiful, talented, untouchable. Behind the curtain, they were actors caught in the cyclone of their own success. When the announcement of their new collaboration hit the internet, hashtags exploded overnight. Visual couple of the year, fans screamed. Magazines called them the new definition of chemistry. In just a few days, their photos topped every trending list. It was not a romance work, but the world decided it was love. The filming began in early autumn. The air was hot with excitement and exhaustion. Park Eun-bin arrived on set at dawn. Her hair still damp from a quick shower. Her face calm, disciplined. Rowoon was already there, reviewing the script, drinking black coffee like medicine. They barely exchanged words at first. Then, during a rehearsal for their first marriage scene, something clicked. The atmosphere shifted. Cameras rolled. The room disappeared. And for a brief second, even the staff forgot they were acting. The director shouted, "Cut," but no one moved. The moment felt too real. "That's it." The cinematographer whispered. "That's the scene." It was the kind of magic that couldn't be rehearsed. It just happened. From that moment, on-screen marriage felt alive. Fans saw it too. Edits of their scenes went viral, and every touch, glance became fuel for speculation. Behind the scenes, though, the truth was much heavier. Their schedule left no room to breathe. 16-hour filming days blurred into sleepless nights. Eun-bin was promoting another project at the same time. Rowoon had a music recording session and back-to-back interviews. They crossed paths only in front of the camera, exchanging tired smiles before collapsing into separate cars after the shoot. Yet every photo of them together became evidence of something deeper. Reporters began staking out the set. Some nights, they saw Rowoon leave late, after midnight. Other times, Eun-bin disappeared quietly through the back door, head lowered, mask on. When the tabloids finally caught an image of her looking down at her phone, exhausted, the headline read, "Heartbreak exposed, Park Eun-bin's marriage with Rowoon falling apart." The story spread like wildfire. Words crumble and split echoed across the internet, turning fiction into something cruelly believable. They looked distant. One fan wrote on social media, "Did something happen between them?" Another comment added, "She doesn't smile like before." One asked if she was simply tired. Inside the production team, people avoided mentioning the rumors. They all saw how hard both stars were pushing themselves to finish filming before the holidays. Still, rumors began to spread. One staff member recalled, "They didn't even have time to eat together anymore." But the press made it sound like a divorce. Park Eun-bin, ever the professional, chose silence. She continued filming with unwavering focus, expression serene even as flashbulbs followed her everywhere. When asked about the headlines, she only said softly, "We're doing our best." Look forward to the story. Rowoon wasn't any freer from the noise. Between takes, he scrolled through his phone, saw the endless posts dissecting his every gesture, and sighed. "I guess they think we broke up." Or to a friend. "But to break up, don't you have to be together first?" The tension grew. Every interview question turned into a trap. Every smile analyzed. The public's obsession began to weigh on both of them. What began as admiration had transformed into pressure. The perfect marriage was becoming unbearable. As the final week of shooting arrived, exhaustion became visible. His once bright eyes carried shadows, and Rowoon's voice grew hoarse from overwork. On the last day, the director announced a short break for them before post-production, and the two stars left the set separately. No hugs, no goodbyes, just quiet understanding. Entertainment portals erupted with a breaking headline, "Park Eun-bin and Rowoon go their separate ways after 1 month." Photos of them walking in opposite directions flooded the internet. To the world, it looked like the end of a love story. But to those who knew, it was only the end of a long, sleepless month. As fans flooded comment sections with heartbreak emojis and disbelief. One question began to echo louder than the rest: was it really heartbreak, or just a misunderstanding born from too much devotion to their craft? When the headlines broke, the world gasped. But inside the quiet rooms where truth lives, there was no heartbreak, only exhaustion, laughter, and the calm after a storm. The so-called divorce between Park Eun-bin and Rowoon was never real. Their crumbling marriage was nothing more than a beautifully misinterpreted partnership, one born from discipline, chemistry, and a mutual respect too often mistaken for love. A week after the frenzy, a small online interview went live. Park Eun-bin appeared in a simple white blouse, hair pulled back, her voice steady but warm. The host hesitated before asking about the rumors. She smiled. "Rowoon and I saw those headlines together," she said with a small laugh. "We couldn't stop laughing. Thought we were heartbroken, but we were just overworked." Her tone wasn't bitter. It was kind, forgiving. She understood that fans didn't mean harm, they simply loved the fantasy too much. "We gave them a story," continued. "But sometimes stories grow wings of their own." Days later, Rowoon sat down for his own interview. Forward, hands clasped, choosing his words carefully. "Eun-bin Nuna is one of the most dedicated people I've ever met," he said. "She gives everything to her craft. If our schedules made it look like we drifted apart, it's only because we were running toward the same goal, just from different directions." That sentence was enough to change everything. Fans who had spent days mourning the breakup began to realize how wrong they'd been. Threads on social media turned from speculation to admiration. "Rowoon Crumble," one fan wrote. "They endured." Another posted a compilation of behind-the-scenes moments. Captioned, "Proof that passion isn't heartbreak, it's hard work." The truth came into focus. Park Eun-bin had been filming 2 projects back-to-back, often traveling between Seoul and Busan overnight. Rowoon, meanwhile, was promoting his new album while juggling variety show appearances. They barely slept, and when they did, as in car rides between studios, there was never a fight, never a cold silence, just a quiet fatigue of 2 professionals at their limit. Behind the glamour of their marriage was a reality most never saw. Park Eun-bin sometimes rehearsed lines alone in empty dressing rooms, her eyes fixed on the mirror, repeating words until they lost meaning. Rowoon often waited in his van outside the set, eating boxed lunches at 2 a.m., reviewing the next day's scenes. Yet, every time the camera rolled, they brought warmth, tenderness, and authenticity that blurred the line between fiction and truth. And so the world believed their love was real, because in some ways, it was. Not romantic love, but the kind that exists between 2 artists who understand each other's struggle without needing to say it. As the truth spread, media outlets began to backtrack. Some even published news stories with softened headlines. Park Eun-bin and Rowoon, the misunderstood partnership that captivated KBs, for once. The narrative shifted from gossip to grace. The damage of fame lingers. It's strange. Eun-bin reflected in a magazine essay weeks later. "Work so hard to create something beautiful. And sometimes people see pain instead of passion. But maybe that's the price of making others feel deeply." Her words carried a quiet wisdom that resonated far beyond her fan base. Rowoon, on the other hand, responded in his own way, through action, not words. When he attended a charity event in Seoul that winter, fans noticed something subtle. He mentioned Park Eun-bin's upcoming drama in his speech. "Please support her," he said simply. "She deserves every bit of love." It wasn't a grand statement, but it was enough to silence what little doubt remained. A month after the chaos, fate brought them together again, at an awards ceremony. The room buzzed with cameras and murmurs the moment they appeared on the same red carpet. She wore midnight blue, he wore classic black. When their eyes met, the crowd held its breath. Then, she smiled. He smiled back. No awkwardness, no distance, just an easy familiarity. Like 2 soldiers who had survived the same battlefield. When Park Eun-bin won the Excellence Award for Best Actress, she stood on stage, holding her trophy with trembling hands. "The year has been intense," she said softly. "Learned that stories don't always go as written, but sometimes the unexpected ones teach us the most." Then she looked toward the audience, where Rowoon sat quietly, clapping. "Thank you to everyone who worked with me so sincerely." Rowoon smiled, a quiet, proud smile that said more than any headline ever could. Night, as they left the hall separately, a photo caught them once again, Park Eun-bin turning back for a brief second. Rowoon raising his hand in a small wave. It wasn't staged. It wasn't dramatic. Simple, genuine, human. And this time, internet didn't twist it. Instead, fans captioned the image, "Respect is the purest form of love." For the following months, both stars continued to rise. New scripts, new opportunities, stories. But their names, once entangled in scandal, became symbols of professionalism and quiet strength. They showed that not every heartbreak is tragedy, sometimes it's just the cost of chasing perfection. In a rare behind-the-scenes documentary released later that year, a crew member recalled the last day of filming. They were both exhausted, he said. But before leaving, Ben turned to Rowoon and said, "We did well. Didn't we?" And he nodded. That was it. No drama. Just two people proud of what they'd created together. Perhaps that's the real love story, one not written in headlines, but in the silent moments of understanding between two souls who gave everything for their art. Because in the end, the heartbreak wasn't between them. It belonged to us, the audience, who fell for the illusion and forgot that behind every story are real people, carrying the weight of their dreams. Marriage may have lasted only a month, but their story became something more enduring, a reminder that truth, even in the world of make-believe, still finds a way to shine through. Somewhere, between exhaustion and grace. Bin and Rowoon taught us that not all endings are sad, some are simply beginnings in disguise.